Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt. Come join us at our newest clinic location at Good Faith Wellness Center. We provide compassionate health care for your entire family, from virtual visits to office appointments. We're committed to providing the best care. We accept all insurances and we provide monthly wellness plans. Let's start your family journey to a healthier, happier life. Schedule your appointment today. And remember, true wealth begins with good health. Hello. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Telehealth Tuesday. This is your go-to podcast for modern insights of healthcare and wellness solutions. I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt, your host for this evening. We have a very special episode lined up just for you. But before we get started, I want to tell you all about Telehealth Tuesday and how you can view us on multiple platforms, including our YouTube channel, most importantly. That's Dr. B TV. That's the word doctor spelled out, DOCTOR, the letter B as in boy, TV on YouTube. Please make sure to share, tag, like, follow. Most importantly, hit the subscribe button to make it count. Also, you can find us on our Instagram and Facebook pages alike and search for Good Faith Wellness Center, where we have all types of amazing plans. We'll tell you all about that. If you have insurance, great. We'd love to see you. If you don't have insurance, great, and sometimes even better. We'd love to see you. We have a plan just for you and your family, so nobody has an excuse. Make sure to stop by right down Lakeland Drive, 2506, to see us at Good Faith Wellness Center. All right, let's talk all about our next guest. Let me get that bio pulled up. I want to tell you all about this young lady. All right, you guys let us know if you're there, if you're in the building. We definitely want to see you. All right, we got that pulled up. I'm talking about Dr. Sabrina Williams. She is a life and legacy planning strategist, educator, author, speaker, investor, podcast panelist, and former host of the radio talk show SCW Talks Money and More, which aired on WNPR 90.1 FM in Jackson, Mississippi, and WGDQ 93.1 FM in Hattiesburg. She's with a unique blend of academic expertise, entrepreneurial expertise, experience, and personal passion. She simplifies estate and legacy planning while empowering families to build, protect, and transfer generational wealth. A purpose-driven woman of faith, Dr. Williams is deeply committed to educating, enlightening, informing, and uplifting communities through financial literacy and legacy education. Her book, Learning to Trust, A Black Family's Guide for Building, Protecting, and Transferring Wealth, has received widespread praise for its culturally grounded and practical approach to wealth stewardship and estate preparedness. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're already a few minutes behind. So look, she's got a very extensive past, but I'm going to let you hear about it all just from her. The woman, the myth, the legend, hear ye her. Dr. Sabrina Williams. Give it to her. All right. Good evening. Happy birthday.
Well, hello. Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here and to be here on my birthday. I am
Yes, Cinco
excited.
de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. I started to wear my sombrero.
Okay, I think that would have been a great idea. It's not too late. If you got it in the closet, we'll hold. We will hold.
So let's keep moving.
So
Let's keep moving.
tell us all about yourself and what did I miss? I know you had a lot more in that bio. I didn't want to just be a talking head. I wanted them to hear from you. So please let the audience know some of the other things that I might have left out or anything that you want to add to that.
Well, allow me, if you will, Dr. B, to introduce myself the way that I do. I am Dr. Sabrina Williams, educator, author, and investor, opening minds and closing contracts. I am so noted. And I am so excited and so delighted to be here with you on your platform this evening. And as we said, on my birthday, on a special birthday as well. This is not one of those milestone birthdays, but this has been quite the year for Dr. Williams. So I'm just excited to be here.
That's amazing. And so where are you from originally?
So originally, I am from a small town in South Mississippi called Prentice, Mississippi.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Prentice?
I've definitely heard of it. I haven't been yet.
Okay, well, I tell you, it's a small town, but great things come from small towns. If you have heard of Al Jefferson, Big Al, that spent quite a few years in the NBA, he hailed from Prentice, Mississippi. We also have, I'm going to give you a little bit tidbit that may not be as well known, but someone that I am very proud of. The let's see, the president of Bank Plus,
Mm.
Mr. Johnny V. Donaldson.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I met
Yeah,
that guy. I've met him.
yeah. Johnny is from Prentice as well. So we have great people, great things that have come from that little small town.
Wow. And what? And Prentice is close. Where's that close to?
So it's about midway between Jackson and Hattiesburg. So about 70 miles south of Jackson.
About 70 miles. Okay, awesome. Yeah, Johnny, you tell him I said hello when you talk to him
I
again.
certainly will. I certainly
Yeah,
will.
that's amazing. And tell us more about. So now you were an educator. Were you teaching in high school or college? And how tell us about your education background? Because I don't know if my mom's watching yet, but she's at 84 years young, and she taught for over 40 years, and she's a
Wonderful.
PhD and educator. And so I know she would love to hear from you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, not only am I an educator by profession, I am an educator at heart. So, I taught at the collegiate level at the I Love Jackson State University. I
All right.
also taught for sometimes at Columbia Southern University in Alabama, and did some other work with Texas Southern University. I never taught at Texas Southern University, but I was there for about 2 years, and I just enjoyed my time at the university, at the collegiate level, but in all phases of my life, Dr. B, I have been an educator. I've worked in the public sector for the Department of Labor, spent about 10 years there. And in my role as an engineer with the government, I found myself educating on a daily basis. I've
Yeah.
also owned my own consulting business, so constantly educating people. And in what I do now, that is my passion, my platform. I actually, in my intro, I think I slipped up and gave you an unedited version of my bio. I am back on the air on WNPR 90.1 on Monday mornings at 7 a.m. So is
Okay.
Talking Money and More. And our platform is an educational platform.
That's excellent. Well, I see. I just put the up there. You see, there's my mom's, and then she's just joined us. So big shout out to my mom, Dr. Lily James.
Welcome, welcome, Dr. James.
Yeah. So, mom, Dr. Williams, and I were talking about some things and how she got her with her educational background and at Jackson State University and at other colleges and things and universities. And since you're just joining, I was telling her that you've been a lifelong educator as well. I take my hat off to you all because I tell you, I don't know how you do it, but I'm glad that you're here to do it.
Well, it is certainly a calling for many of us, and you have to love what you do. And I simply love, I was one that always liked working with people that were a little bit more seasoned. I love the babies, but that was not my calling. But I certainly enjoyed my time at the university, working with the students and just helping them, in the early phases of their lives to really discover who they are. Because that's part of the learning process, Dr. B, in and of itself for college students. It's learning who they are, you know?
Absolutely. Well, look, let's get right into it. We've got some questions, and look, ladies and gentlemen, we want you all to know that, of course, this is live. You could be here, there, or anywhere on this wonderful Cinco de Mayo, and of course, Dr. Williams could. It's her birthday, and so we are so glad that you have chosen to spend this time with us on this Tuesday night. So let's get right into it. The first question, oh, and also let you all know that since this is live, even though we have prepared questions, we would love to, even more, we would love to prefer to hear from you. So if there's anything, feel free to drop your comment or question right in there, and we'll stop and go ahead and get that addressed or answered as best we can. Number one, so what do you think,
Mhm.
Dr. Williams? What do you believe is the biggest reason that students are struggling in today's education system?
Oh, the biggest one reason?
Oh, you can give us more than one if you need to.
Yeah, there are many. I think where we are in our nation as a whole, we're at a sad point. We're really at a sad point. And I tell you why. Let me just give you a tidbit of a conversation that my mother and I were having earlier today. She was telling me about this particular lady, and she said she works three jobs. And she said the lady said she has always worked two or three jobs. And immediately my heart sank because I thought about her children. You work in two and three jobs. This happens to be a single parent. Who's at home keeping the children? Who's rearing the children? So I think a lot of what has happened with our education system, it
Hmm.
really is reflective of what's going on in our families, in our homes. A lot of times there is not the emphasis on education, and especially in our community. I'm just going to call it what it is, Dr. B. When I was coming up, there was an emphasis on education and the importance of education, and especially if your background and your situation was, one of meager beginnings, you found hope in education. You were encouraged to go get as much as you could because the sky was the limit. But now there is not that emphasis, and a lot of it is because our family structure is so different. And if there's nobody there, then who is encouraging the children to get the education? Who's there to help them with their studies? Who's there to, be their advocate when they are struggling in the classrooms? And a lot of times, instead of advocating for the children, I've heard some of my friends that are educators talk about how the parents come to the school to really just really attack the administrators and the teachers. So I think our whole focus has shifted and it's off. It really is off. And we are seeing that reflected in our schools, but in the broader society as well.
You know, and I couldn't agree more with that. So what do you think the solution to some of this is? I mean, I know there's not just one, kind of happily packaged solution or one single thing, but what can we do as a community, as a society right now to help that? What do we need to do?
That's a very good question. And I heard you say the answer in your question. You
Mm,
used the word community.
mhm.
Community. It's not something that one individual is going to be able to solve. And we have to really, really think about the mindset and the approach that many of us are taking. You want to think about how many people say that's someone else's problem. Shaniqua is the one with the six kids. That's not my problem. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Nothing
But
against Shaniqua, by
you
the
know,
way. But go
yeah,
ahead though.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
no, I said nothing against Shaniqua's
You
though.
are nothing
I'm
against Shaniqua. Just
I'm
an example. I mean,
yeah.
it could have been Sabrina. It could have been anybody. But the point is, when we take the attitude and the mindset that it is not my problem, it's someone else's problem, in reality, it can become all of our problems because when we don't extend ourselves to try to help that single mom who is struggling with those kids and those kids become involved in, let's say, criminal activity or gang activity, we never know who will be that person's victim. So
Mhm.
do we choose to engage when it's, a crime that the child is committing, or do we choose to engage in such a way where we are mentoring, where we are helping? So the answer to your question really is community.
Community. I like it. I love that. Um, it's Bernadette Hendrickson. Big shout out, Florida. Good to see you. She's saying each one.
Reach one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, a lot of people, I know we joke about it, and one of the terms in the South is throw it off. We say this generation, man, is left behind. They got these kids to throw it off. They're wearing hoodies even in the summertime, just kind of strange behavior. And so it's definitely different generations than when we came up and now. And so, that it takes a village kind of approach. While I certainly agree with you, it's so different now because back, then it's somebody who might not even be related to you, but they were in the community. They could chastise a child. They
Mhm.
could even maybe spank them if they needed to, or they could put them even on some temporary punishment or whatever needed to be done until the mother or father came home and then took over. But nowadays it's like, hey, don't do that, or don't touch my child, or people are going to call authorities on you. And so it makes it so hard to kind of rein in on this stuff, this day and age.
It does make it hard, but does that release our responsibility to do something? Because the alternative is to do nothing.
Do nothing.
And when we do nothing, we know what is going to happen. We can actually see that what has happened because many people have taken that do nothing approach.
Hmm.
I heard a sermon yesterday morning as I was preparing to go into the radio station. And this particular minister was talking about, he used the illustration of a relay race where, you can't think individually when you're on the relay team because no matter how fast you run, if you don't hand off that baton correctly, your team is still going to lose. And the reality is, in many instances, we look at the children and the condition that they're in, but we still have a responsibility to pass the baton. That's not on the kids, that's on us.
That's on us. That's on us. Another question that was raised. What do you think is lacking right now in terms for the teachers? What could we do to help our teaching? Is it the resources? Is it the support? What do you think is the number one thing that's lacking in terms of what we're discussing now from the teacher's perspective?
Well, definitely support. Again, you have a generation, and many of these parents are really, their children themselves. They have not had very good role models at home. They've not had very good examples. So, it's almost like we're asking people to fill a role, to parent, and that's it's not something that they know how to do. They know how to exist. They don't have very good conflict resolution skills themselves, and
Hmm.
so we're literally wondering what's going on with the children. Well, they're not. If the parents don't have it, if it's not in you, Dr. B, it's kind of hard to pass it on to someone else. And so
Absolutely.
as a result, then the teachers are having to deal with a lot of the aggression and a lot of the, behavior that is stemming from the home. So, yes, a lot of what can be done and what needs to be done is more support for our teachers that are in the classroom because it's a very hard job. They are up against a lot. One of the things that's very different than when I was in school, I think maybe my junior or senior year is when they implemented state testing. And
Mm.
that, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I question that. And the reason I say I question that, I know that, there are certain standards that we want our children to meet. We want them to be able to compete on a national level and not just here locally in Mississippi or in our, our little small communities. But at the same time, how limited are the students or the teachers when the focus is the test all the time, all year long?
Oh, don't even get me started.
how what are we really doing these kids a service when we are literally, our teachers are really, their hands are tied. They have to teach those kids how to pass the test because their income is dependent on the number of students that pass the test.
Wow. So that, that kind of, I guess, almost answered one of my questions there, like what can we do in terms of support? We probably need to look at, and that's, I guess, a governor and beyond, from those elected officials' perspective that, hey, we need to make it less restrictive on teachers and stop making their pay depending on these tests and these kids, because it's so much more that from what you're saying, there's so much more that goes into it. So you shouldn't determine somebody's pay only from that. It's honestly, from where I'm sitting, it sounds unfair.
It's unfair. And if you think about from what I'm hearing in that's the talk that's coming out of our legislature has many people on edge when it comes to education here in the state of Mississippi. So you're talking about perhaps taking, public dollars and allowing that money to support private education. Now, I'm not here to debate that. That's what this conversation is about. But the
Right.
question becomes, are they going to be held to the same standards? Are those students going to have to pass the test? Are are the teachers over there going to be held hostage by the state test if we're going to use the state funds in that regard? And I think
Mm.
that has a lot of people very, very concerned about that. So, are we really assessing how beneficial just passing these tests and making sure that these children meet these state benchmarks? What
Mhm.
are we doing? I mean, are we creating, better students? What are we doing with that?
And
Where's
just
where's the data?
Okay, and that excellent point. Just so I'm clear now, when you say these students comparing to, are you talking about public school versus private, or
No,
different
I'm
minority
talking.
community
No, I'm
versus?
talking about us. I'm talking about us.
Mm.
Are the students from this generation, the ones that are having to pass these state tests, the ones that are spending, their time in the public school system, preparing them to be able to pass this test? Do we have any data that suggests that these students are, performing better academically than students did prior to? Are they more successful long term than the students that were not held to those standards? I don't know. Is that out there?
Those are great points. I'm putting this on there so folks that are watching can see here from you. I'm letting them know that we want to hear from you, because although, again, we have prepared questions and all and everything, we definitely want to hear from our live audience.
Absolutely.
They might be being a little bit bashful tonight, but we want to hear from you guys. I know, and Mom, I know you're on there, so you remember when I was in school, like the what was it, the F coast? Yeah, everybody had the SAT and ACT, but we had in Florida the Florida College Admissions Test, and I think the FCAT. And then there was some test that I remember getting like I think I only missed one question on the entire test. I don't know if it was that the English or the math. Um, she used to keep a copy of it in her purse for like 25 years. But um, but yeah, some people, I mean, and the other thing is with these tests that and not to use it as an excuse, but there is truly a real thing such as bias, and
Right.
when it comes to communities, and sometimes not even just minority communities, but these days, with all these different communities of people and LGBTQ and all that kind of stuff, there is truly inherent bias on some of these, and so certain students may not even be able to identify with or understand the question appropriately, and it's insane to me that we're basing so much of that on standardized testing.
So I know my age because today is my birthday. I
That's
don't know
right.
yours, Dr. B, but I think you may be able to relate to what I'm about to say. Good
Okay,
times. Do you remember Good Times?
I do remember that. Yeah.
I clearly remember there was an episode of Good Times
Okay.
where that was a concern for Florida and James, and I think it was with Michael. Michael was always the quote unquote the really smart one in the family on good times. And
Right, right.
they went to the school and they went through this assessment. They looked at the questions, and Michael was telling them it wasn't, that he wasn't trying. He just could not relate to any of those questions because they were not reflective of his reality. Some of the
Hmm.
terminology he'd
That's
never
right.
heard it before. So they took a test in that was basically more culturally relevant to them, and they were asking the principal these questions, and he couldn't answer any of them.
Mm.
To your point when we talk about biases.
Wow. I think I might have to go back to that episode of Good Times. I don't even remember that one. I more so with that show probably watched more, reruns a little bit. So it was yeah, I forget. I think that was that came out in the 70s, right? In the late in
So I'm aging
early
myself, right?
early 80s. Well, yeah, not trying to do that, but I'm just trying to put some things, as I say, that was right before like the show Alf and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Dr. West, I remember that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That was,
I got to go back and look at that one.
yeah.
Uh, but another question that we have is, what would you say how can we as parents become more effective partners in our children's education these days? How can we become more effective partners?
We have so many things that are competing for our attention as parents. Certainly, our children have so many things that are competing for their attention as well. And I think it boils down, Dr. B, to being intentional. And I say this not that, I would say my life is the perfect model, but I remember the mindset that I had when I was rearing my children. And it was that my children were my priority. A
Hmm.
lot of things that I wanted to do, I was interested in doing. I did not do those things because I realized, and especially having sons, that I got one shot to instill certain things in my boys. And I did not want to get distracted by all of the other things that were going on, that I missed that. And I
Hmm.
think, for a lot of parents, for various reasons. I mean, we talked about one of them on the front end. We have a lot of parents that are working multiple jobs just to try to make ends meet.
That's right.
And so it really does make you wonder how engaged those parents really are able to be. Not that they don't want to be, but they may not be able, which again ties back to my comment regarding community. So
Hmm.
when you see that that parent is lacking, it may not be that they are just, they don't care. They're not committed to their children or whatever, but they're doing the best that they can to keep food on the table, a roof over the head, clothes on the back. Then that's where community has to step in and help with that.
That's right. We had I was even thinking about my home church in Orlando. Shout out to Mount Sinai SDA Church. Um, and I remember community service department, Sister Tima, Brother Ken Unick. And then when I was a part of the Pathfinders organization, which is kind of like the Boy Scouts, if you will. And I remember that, people coming up there and we would do outreach and all that kind of stuff. So my point is that with what you're saying, I think a big part of that was the role that the church used to play. But
Hmm.
now, especially after COVID, where even before COVID, people were already, kind of not going to church as much as as the generations changed and the tide shifted. But then after 2020 with COVID, when we couldn't go to church, they were on. People were already doing all the online streaming. Man, when COVID happened, I mean, they got so fancy and so good with this thing that people don't even still have not returned even to this day. And so again, my point is just that I feel like the church was a big, big part, especially in our
Right.
community. And now that people are not going and all that, we don't have that. And so that was a big part of that community that you brought up earlier. You know.
And I think, there are a lot of things that have happened in our community that have made us become almost unrecognizable. You mentioned one, our churches. So many things that have happened within our faith-based institutions. You have a lot of people that really don't even participate anymore. I mean, they're not watching online and they're not attending either. So there are things that are happening, but I think it's going to take a remnant of us, those of us that do care, those of us that can see what's going on, those of us that really understand the implications of a Supreme Court decision that will set us back. It's going to take those of us to continue stepping up. If we have not stepped up, it's going to take us making a decision to step up. Because if we don't, as I say, who's going to pass the baton?
That's right.
Who's going to pass it?
Absolutely. Keisha Baker, Ms. Baker, good to see you always. Thank you so much for your support each and every week. I would love to have those stats on testing. I had the history test, and it was a practice test. I did score very high, actually with honors, but it was only practice. But the students that came behind me had to pass it to graduate. Did they get the same studies as me, or did they just focus on testing scores? Hmm. So you're asking. So basically, you're saying back in the day, in our generation, when you had this test, this history test, it was just you scored well, but it was more of a practice test. And now you're saying this current generation now they're depending on this same one, and you're wondering how did they prepare for it? It sounds like. Let me know. Let me know if I got that right. That's what it sounds like.
Well, and I'm glad that she used that example of history. Okay, and I'm gonna go rogue, Dr. B, for just a second. There were just certain classes, not so much when I was in school, but as a parent, that I really just didn't lose my mind over if my children did not do well. And I'm gonna be honest with you, history was one of those things, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Because we know whose history this really been taught. We know who's.
Hello. Hello. You want me to score well on a history test? Well, whose history are you telling? Who's the storyteller? It's called his story. So
Mm.
yeah, I digress.
We say Stephen James is in the building over here on our Instagram side. Big ups to you, man. I see Tice96 over there. Keisha over there. Thanks for joining. Thank you all for your support. If you're still, I can't tell if y'all are still on there, but on our Instagram side, I wanted to say hello and big shout out to everyone on that side. But yeah, Keisha, yeah, she said yes. That's what I was saying. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, yeah, like you said, his story, um, and it's a shame, that those of us that were privileged to take African American studies and things like that, like I did from Mr. Leroy R. Gret from
Hmm.
Dr. Phillips High School in Orlando, Florida, and so we learned some things like, man, we weren't just only these descendants of monkeys and slaves and all this kind of stuff. But man, we were over in Egypt with, priests and kings and stuff like that. And so we had, been enslaved after that, but that's not how we were. That's that, we're the descendants of kings and queens. This is royalty we dealing with here. You
Right.
know,
And I think too, when you ask about the students, I want you to think about that. Education. Taking a test and making sure that these students are proficient at test taking, does that really prepare them for life? That's what I'm more concerned about than anything else. making sure that our students in particular have the life skills that are necessary to survive.
Mhm.
Because if you look even at where we're going with higher educations, one of the things that our institutions of higher education are having to really, really look at is whether or not there is going to be a need for a lot of these degree programs when you have these companies that are saying we're not going to even require these students to have a degree. So there goes a lot of that student loan debt that a lot of people have been saddled with for years and years and years.
Mhm.
So the
Wow.
question becomes, when do we have an honest conversation about how to prepare our students for life? How do they compete in life, and not just how do they pass the test? So we know, if you look at even the jobs that we may have had when we were in school, the part-time jobs, the McDonald's, the fast food places.
Right.
Now a
Mhm.
lot of these places, you go in there, you don't even interact with a human anymore. You just go up and you touch the board, you place your order. Are we preparing these students with AI, artificial intelligence, so that they know how to use this? Cybersecurity, all of these different areas where our society is not going, but where we are.
Mm.
Our concern. Are we really giving them the financial management skills that they need so that they are not constantly for 20, 30, 40 years in debt, and we never are able to amass any generational wealth? What type of conversation are we having? Are we really having the right conversation when it comes to education? We want to be part of the education conversation, but we're keeping it right here, Dr. B, in my humble opinion, when it needs to be broadened.
Wow. Man, I love that. I hope that for those of you that are on here right now, are you hearing this? Somebody respond in this chat. Y'all looking? Are you guys hearing this? 'Cause these are some nuggets. These are some true nuggets, and I'm not talking about Chick-fil-A or McDonald's. These are like titanium nuggets. I don't know if that's a good comparison, but these are amazing. This is your true wealth of information. Um, you know, I think about several conversations that I've had with individuals when it talks about preparing you for that, and I think about all these folks who, and nothing. And certainly, I'm a big supporter of education. Obviously, going to med school and everything, and my mom was, and my father. So definitely, this is not a dig on that. But what
Right.
I'm saying is that exactly what you're saying. Folks are not even doing certain work. They're not doing certain trades. We've got robots for it. We've got AI. But also, even before this whole AI thing started, you think about electricians, plumbers, things like that that
Mm,
don't require a degree, but their hourly rate is at least $100 an hour. And a lot of people that have all of our advanced degrees, unless you're a doctor, a lawyer, or professor or something like that, you could have two, three doctorates, and you're not making $100 an hour. And so
exactly.
it's kind of like,
Exactly.
but the welder and the welders are going over on the water, or working what they call offshore. And
Right.
these guys, yeah, they're pulling down 300,000, 250,000 a year. So it's kind of like, what are we, and not that life is all about money, but what are we truly getting out of this? Because, and then, what, now I will say, what does burn me up, what I don't understand is, and maybe if you want to weigh in on it, but when people say, yeah, I've got 3 bachelors and 2, 3 masters and a specialist degree, and I'd say, so you got 7 or 8 degrees,
Yeah.
but you only have one job. All those degrees, you're already at the, whatever it is, that either in education or whatever your field is, you can only really hold down one job. Maybe they give you an extra, $1,000 a month or something for an extra role, but beyond that, the welders and the electricians are still bringing home more than you. So I don't
Yeah.
understand. If you
Yeah.
have any understanding,
Yeah.
or help me understand, why do people pride themselves on multiple degrees of the same? Like, I don't understand that.
And that's the sad part. I think we've been brainwashed, we've been hoodwinked. And that's why I go back to the education piece of it.
Mhm.
That conversation has been way off. It's not about how many degrees and how many specialist certifications you can get. All that's good and that's great. And I'm like you, I'm a degreed person. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, as an investor, I can tell you. This morning, when my tenant texted me first thing this morning, Dr. B, and said the power was out, it didn't matter how many degrees I had, because guess what?
Power is
I
out.
wasn't going over there fixing anything.
You call the electrician or
Exactly.
Entergy, and then you page Jesus 911. Help me, someone please call 911.
Absolutely. So therefore, and I say that jokingly, but it is so true being an investor. What I am seeing, the need for these skill sets, it is so important. I mean, it's about to be 110 degrees in the shade here in Mississippi real soon. When that
Oh
HVAC goes out, ain't nobody calling the person with the specialist degree.
no,
Ain't nobody calling the
nobody.
person with the PhD or the MD for that concern.
Don't
You
call me
calling
either.
up HVAC.
I'm not going up in your attic. I'm not going up there. I'm not
No,
going up.
no, indeed. So the reality is there is a need. And I think what we don't really understand how money works, many of us in our community. And I can say that in all fairness because it's not something that in many homes people actually talk about. So even when we're having that conversation about education, there also needs to be a conversation about what makes sense, because everybody, I'm of the opinion, Dr. B, because I love school. I mean, I was the person that would just show up just because I
Really?
loved it. But the reality is,
God bless
everybody is not like that.
you.
I
Mm-mm.
think anybody can benefit from a college experience,
Yes.
because for many of us, especially people like myself that came from small towns, the cultural experience and exposure in and of itself is like none other. And especially if you mess around and go to a HBCU, shout out, shout out to my HBCU.
Big
You
shot.
go, look, you gonna learn some stuff, and to borrow from a one of the sitcoms from back in the day, it may be a different world from where you come from.
That is so true. That is
But
so
my
true.
point is, even with that, even though it may be a good thing, it may be a good experience, that's just not for everyone.
Mhm.
And to allow students to believe that because I choose not to go to college, then there's not really a pathway for me is very misleading. And I think we have to make sure that they understand that there are other pathways forward where you can really, really earn a very, very good living. And some of these things are very lucrative, very, very lucrative. And we just have to expose our children to that and let them decide which pathway they would like to take.
Yep. I completely and wholeheartedly agree. We got a comment from Keisha Ism over there on the Instagram side. She says that college for me was all about life skills. I was always advanced and trainable. I still believe in education. My matriculation at CAU was worth more than student loans. Okay. Well, there we go. I appreciate that, Keisha. And I agree. Big shout out. I got to put in a shameless plug from my alma mater, for undergrad, the Oakwood University,
All right now,
1896, Huntsville, Alabama.
Huntsville, Alabama.
That's it.
Well, now, Dr. B, since we putting in plugs now,
Come on with
since
it.
we
Come on
putting
with it.
in plugs,
Come
I
on with
gotta
the I
give
love.
a shout out to my alma mater, Southern
Oh, son.
University,
I got
Baton Rouge, Louisiana,
Rufus. I got you.
home of the Jaguars.
Yes, indeed. Shout out to Southern. Shout out. But thank you for that, Keisha. We appreciate that comment. Octavia, good to see you. Good evening. She says I'm teaching my son to get several backup plans. He's currently in college. He's earning different trades while attending. He
Mhm.
has one and is now enrolling in an electrical program as well. Man, she gets it.
Let
She
me
gets
let me let me drop something in your spirit, because and this may
it.
help some of your followers. So, what would be wrong if we changed what we're communicating to our students? Okay, just think about it. They have what, 3 or 4 summers before they ever go to college. From ninth grade to 12th grade. What are we doing with those summers? What will prevent them from going to the community college and getting that certification in HVAC, or that certification in whatever, barbering?
Mhm.
Okay, think about their 4 years, or their five, if you're on the 5 year plan, 6 year plan in college. How many students are going to need a haircut? You know, you
Oh,
have positioned them so that they can go ahead and start earning income, because everybody may not be able to get a work study job. You know what I'm saying?
that's right. That's right.
And the thing is, when you have your own skill set that you bring to the table, you don't earn that minimum wage that the work study job pays you. You set
Mhm.
your wage.
That's a totally different.
It's a different mindset. We can
Yeah.
prepare our students with skill sets during these summers leading up to the college years, so that when they go, they have things that they can do other than, as I say, work study or having to work at a fast food place. Even things like real estate. I'm a real estate investor. What would prevent them from, many of them, from going to get their real estate license? Or there are so many things in real estate that they could do. Everybody that buys a property, for the most part, has to have some type of appraisal on the property, or home inspection. These
Hmm.
are things that don't require a college degree, but they are required every time a property is sold. So we've got to expand our conversations, Dr. B, and start as a community thinking about how we can prepare and position our students to be competitive and to be successful at a different level, not just in the classroom, but in life.
Mm. Wow. That is deep. That is deep. My mom says, shout out to FAMU, my alma mater.
All right, HBCUs.
That's right. That's right. Keisha says that on Instagram, I agree with that. When what we were saying a few minutes ago, I agree with that, and it's okay to get a trade. However, train the kids about the business of.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hello.
I like that.
Hello, somebody. Come
Great,
on through, Miss Keisha.
great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, um, just says over here. Oh, that's Claude. I'm sorry, that's Clyde said CAU. I said make sure to define that for us, because we just to make sure I don't mess that up. She said, yeah, Clark Atlanta. How
Okay.
could we miss that, Keisha? Clark Atlanta, big shout out. He said, I agree with the Summers. I have a 13, 15-year-old that boys. Atlanta has summer year of the youth, and our mayor, Andre Dickens, partners with business owners. Well, Keisha, if you know him, please help me to get Mayor Andre Dickens on this show. Let me know what we need to do, because that is a dynamic brother.
Right.
And since we fly
Right.
through Atlanta, we just went through there this last weekend, and he's all over the stuff. He's doing big things, and I think usually going to Essence Festival, and I missed him because he was down there surrounded by all the big celebrities and security and stuff. So look, either please arrange that for us to either meet at Essence or for him to come on Telehealth Tuesday. I'm just putting it out there. We have not,
Put it in
because
the atmosphere. Put it out there.
put it out there.
Yes, indeed. You never know who's listening.
That's right. I know time is kind of winding down here. I want to make sure before we get out of here that if there are any final questions or comments, that because we'd love to take the last two or three questions or comments. You guys just go ahead and put them out there now. Just don't all hold back. Don't all speak at once, because we want to make sure to address your questions, comments, and even concerns. Um, she said, all I can do is ask. So, well, there we go. Said he also provides different opportunities for the kids to work all over. Yeah, and
Wonderful.
that's so important. And I really feel like with these younger kids, these generations, we have to keep these kids busy.
We do. We
Their
do.
idle mind is
We do.
terrible. Octavia says there are also several healthcare programs available like phlebotomy, dental assistant, medical assistant, CNA, etc., that will provide experience, income, and alternate career paths. Look, that's an excellent point, Octavia, because of course the people that know me personally know that I was a surgical technologist, before going to medical school, and kind of, I didn't get into med school right away, and it's kind of a long story, but the short end is that I was like, man, what am I going to do? And I thought my only option was to go and do nursing, or, do the RM program until I could figure it out or get into med school. And then, um, I forget how I even found out about surgical tech, but anyway, there were, back in Orlando, at Orlando Tech, it was a 1 year program, and you get a certificate, and then you can sit for the CST, the certification exam. And when you do that, you get an extra, like, $3 or $4 extra per hour, which certainly adds up. But man, that was I still love that field. I met one of the surgeons up here and told him, man, anytime you have a case that's interesting, and if I'm available, and would it be okay to scrub in with you? And he said, oh man, come on, doc. You don't even have to ask. So I just love surgery. So my point is just that I'm glad you brought that up, because even surgical technology, the people that pass the instruments, for those of you that don't know, pass the instruments to the surgeon in surgery, or retracting, holding a retractor to open things up so that the surgeon has a good field of view. Because the most important thing you can do in surgery, one of the best surgeons I ever worked with, he told me the number one thing that we care about is exposure. It's not fancy suturing, it's not the scalpel, it's not how you make the incision, but exposure. Because if you can't see, then you
Right.
can't.
Right. And I just want to give a plug to, I have a cousin that is a surgical tech. And she'd been with Forest General Hospital in Hattiesburg for
Yeah.
several years, but about 5 years ago, she made a decision to start traveling. So I
Mm,
certainly want to encourage people, if that's something that your kids, may be considering, please encourage them. She has had a wonderful opportunity over the last few years to travel all over the country. Just recently left Wyoming and relocated to Connecticut for her next assignment. So it gives you an opportunity, even we think travel nursing, but there are other fields within, the medical healthcare profession where you can
right.
travel as well.
That is right. Those are some great points. If there's another question that may come in, you guys feel free to ask. But in the meantime, since we're right at 8 o'clock, I would love to ask Dr. Williams to give maybe any final points or thoughts that she has. And then also, if you wouldn't mind letting us know before we close, where people can find you, what you're working on. I heard you say, with you being a realtor. So anything that you want people to know, if how you want them to contact you, what you're working on, any new programs, the floor is yours to let them know all that and then some.
Okay, so for those of you that may be just joining us, I am Dr. Sabrina Edmond Williams. I am an educator, an author, and an investor. My passion is educating my people. Particularly, what my focus is right now is educating our community on the importance of building, protecting, and properly transferring wealth. I invite you to join my weekly conversations on Monday mornings at 7 a.m. for my talk show, Soul Talks Money and More, which airs live on WMPR 90.1 FM right here in the Jackson metro area. You can also follow me on Facebook at I Am So Noted. That's IAMSEWNOTED, as well as YouTube at I Am So Noted. And I am available to speak at your churches, your family groups, anywhere you need me to speak, to initiate a conversation around estate planning and the importance of doing it properly so that we as a community can begin to build generational wealth.
Man, that is amazing. You see how I am so noted. Did I misspell that? I don't know if you can see the comments in the comment bar.
It's SEW. My initials, Sabrina Edmund Williams. I am so SEW. Noted. I do not sew. Those are my initials. SEW.
I was looking for that because I didn't get to tag you on. Because I was putting Sabrina, Edmund, or Doctor. I put it every way, but I found you on Instagram. I could not find you on Facebook. I wish I had known that, but
Yes,
it's okay.
I am so noted.
Okay, so we got it right the way I have it there.
Yes, I am so noted.
Okay, perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our amazing guest, Dr.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for allowing me to hang out with you on my birthday, Dr. B.
On your birthday. That's why I said we won't even go over. We're going to end right on time because I don't know if you have anything planned for your birthday or, Cinco de Mayo, but we don't want to hold any of that up,
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, again, we want to thank Dr. Williams for another amazing episode of Telehealth Tuesday. So, again, this is your go-to podcast for modern insights on healthcare and wellness solutions. So, next week, we're going to have another amazing guest. You know how we do each and every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. Now, look, so make sure we don't want to be selfish. So, look, don't just keep this to yourself. Make sure to tell a friend, a family member, or whoever, church, a member. Bring somebody else with you because each one reach one. So don't hold the good news to yourself. And why? Why would you do that? It's free. So make sure to do that. Please don't forget to visit Telehealth Tuesday. It's Dr. B TV on YouTube. Dr. DOCTOR, the letter B is in boy, TV on YouTube. Make sure to share, tag, like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. So with that said, we hope you'll tune in next Tuesday at 7 p.m. If you want to be a guest on the show, if you have somebody that you think would be amazing, don't hesitate to drop us a line, an email, DM, whatever. If you have an amazing testimony or story, we'd love to hear from you. So God willing, we'll see you always on a Tuesday. And remember, above all else, that true wealth begins with good health. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt. Come join us at our newest clinic location at Good Faith Wellness Center. We provide compassionate health care for your entire family, from virtual visits to office appointments. We're committed to providing the best care. We accept all insurances, and we provide monthly wellness plans. Let's start your family journey to a healthier, happier life. Schedule your appointment today, and remember, true wealth begins with good health.